he saw her. Not until he saw Alicia. She wasn't like the stories. No monsters, no invaders. She was beautiful, fragile, and yet there was a weight in her eyes. The kind of weight only someone carrying an entire world's pain could hold. "If I bond with you, will you let me in?" she whispered, her voice trembling like a fading star. But Xamard wasn't ready for what bonding really meant. It wasn't just about saving her. It was about sharing her agony, her memories, and her alien emotions that no human could ever understand. This is not just a story of love. This is about a choice. To open your soul to someone not of your world, knowing it might destroy you or set you free. Are you ready to feel what they felt? The night was silent. Too silent. Xamard walked alone through the broken streets of his city, his footsteps echoing in the cold air. He wasn't searching for anything. Not really. Maybe just a little peace from the noise of his own thoughts. But then he heard it. A voice. Soft. Almost singing. It wasn't in any language he knew, yet it pulled at his chest like an invisible thread. He followed, past the crumbling library, through alleys lit only by the faint glow of a half-dead street lamp. That's when he saw her. Sitting there, on the edge of a cracked stone bench, was a woman, or something like a woman. Long silver hair clung to her shoulders, and her pale skin seemed to glow faintly under the moonlight. She wasn't human. He knew it before she even looked up. Her eyes, they were too big, too deep, as if they held entire galaxies within them. Xamard froze. What are you?" he managed to ask. She tilted her head, sadness curling at the corners of her lips. "I'm Alicia," she said softly, "and I don't want to hurt you, but I don't have much time." The wind carried her words like a secret. "I need you," she whispered. "Not your help. Not your home. I need you." Xamard's heart thudded painfully. He wanted to run. Every instinct screamed that this wasn't safe. But her eyes, there was something in them. Something too human to ignore. "What do you mean?" he asked. Alicia stood slowly, her movements graceful yet heavy with exhaustion. "My kind, we don't survive long on worlds like yours. The air burns us. The silence eats us alive. There's only one way. We bond. We find one of you, and we connect." "Connect?" Xamard echoed, his voice almost a whisper. "Yes. If I bond with you, I'll live. But it's not easy. You'll feel what I feel. My joy, my pain, my memories, everything." She took a step closer, her alien features now illuminated by the faint light. "Please, will you let me in?" And in that moment, Xamard felt the weight of a choice he never wanted to make. The city slept under a heavy blanket of silence. Only the distant hum of flickering streetlights broke the stillness. Xamard walked slowly, his hands stuffed into his jacket pockets, his breath visible in the cold night air. He wasn't heading anywhere in particular, just away from the noise of people, the chaos of his thoughts, and the heavy loneliness that clung to him like a second skin. But then he heard it, a sound, soft, almost like a song carried by the wind. He stopped, heart skipping. It wasn't a language he recognized. It wasn't even words. Really more like a melody. Haunting, sad, beautiful. His eyes scanned the empty street. Nothing. Still, something pulled at him. A strange tug in his chest, as if invisible strings were guiding his feet. Against all logic, he followed. The sound led him past the old library, its broken windows and ivy-covered walls glowing faintly in the moonlight. He turned down a narrow alley where shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally long. That's when he saw her. At first, he thought she was a statue, a figure sitting on the cracked stone bench under a dying street lamp. Long silver hair fell like liquid light over her shoulders, catching the faint glow. Her posture was still, almost too perfect. Then she moved, slowly, her head tilted up, and Xamard's breath caught. Those eyes, they weren't human. Too large, too luminous, like two tiny galaxies swirling in pools of liquid silver. They seemed to see right through him, into every corner of his soul. He took a step back instinctively. Who are you?" His voice was barely more than a whisper. She didn't answer immediately. Her gaze lingered on his face, studying him with a strange mix of curiosity and sorrow. Finally, she spoke. "I'm Alicia," she said softly, her voice melodic, yet heavy with exhaustion. "And I don't want to hurt you, but I don't have much time." Xamard's heartbeat thundered in his ears. His instinct screamed at him to leave, to turn and run. But something about her held him there. Maybe it was the way her voice cracked slightly on the last words. Maybe it was the sadness in her eyes, like she'd been carrying the weight of 1,000 lifetimes. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice steadier now, though his palms were clammy. Alicia shifted slightly, her slender fingers gripping the edge of the bench. "I shouldn't even be here," she whispered. "This world, it's beautiful, but it burns me. My kind. We can't survive long on planets like yours." "Then why come?" Xamard asked, confused, wary. Her gaze didn't waver. "Because I had no choice. And now, there's only one way left for me to stay alive." Xamard swallowed hard, unsure why his chest felt so tight. "What way?" Alicia stood slowly. She wasn't much taller than him, but there was something about her presence, something otherworldly, that made the air feel heavier. She took a step closer, and though she moved gracefully, there was a weakness to her posture, as if each motion took immense effort. "I need to bond," she said, her voice barely audible. "With someone here. Someone like you." "Bond," Xamard echoed, the word alien in his mouth. She nodded, her silver eyes locking on his. "It's a connection. Deep. Unbreakable. If I bond with you, I can survive. I'll share your air, your energy, your life." Xamard's stomach twisted. "And what happens to me?" A faint sadness touched her lips. "You'll feel everything I feel. My joy, my pain, my memories." She hesitated. "Even the ones you won't want to see." He stared at her, torn between fear and an inexplicable pull toward her. "Please," Alicia whispered, her voice trembling now. "If I bond with you, will you let me in?" The silence that followed felt louder than any sound. The wind howled between the broken buildings, carrying dust and dead leaves down the empty streets. But inside the narrow room, silence reigned. Xamard had taken her in. Against every instinct screaming for him to leave her outside, he had opened the door to his small apartment, a dim, cramped space that suddenly felt even smaller with her presence. Alicia sat on the edge of his bed, her silvery hair cascading over her shoulders like liquid moonlight. She looked out the cracked window at the dark city skyline, her alien features softened by the faint glow of a flickering bulb. Xamard stood by the door, leaning against it as though it was the only thing holding him up. His heart was still racing. "What are you?" he asked finally, breaking the thick silence. Her eyes turned to him, eyes that didn't belong to this world. "I told you," she said quietly. "I'm Alicia." That's a name, not an answer. She looked down at her hands, pale and delicate. Tiny scars crisscrossed her skin like faded tattoos, glowing faintly in the dim light. "We're not so different, you and I," she said after a long pause. "We came from worlds that demanded too much of us. The only difference is my world is gone." Xamard frowned, stepping closer. "Gone? What happened?" Alicia's lips trembled, and for a moment she looked impossibly small. "We destroyed it," she whispered. "All of us. War, greed, lies. We kept taking until there was nothing left to take. So I ran. We all did. The few of us who were left, we scattered across the stars." Her voice cracked on the last words, and Xamard felt something twist painfully in his chest. "And now?" he asked softly. "Now. I'm dying." The words hung between them like smoke. Xamard swallowed hard. "You said something about bonding. What does that mean? What happens to me if I say yes?" Alicia looked up, and for the first time he saw fear in her silver eyes. "It's not like your relationships. It's deeper. When two beings bond, there's no hiding. No walls. You'll feel my thoughts, my memories, my pain. And I'll feel yours." "Sounds invasive," Xamard muttered, trying to mask the shiver running down his spine. "It is," she admitted, "but it's also beautiful. To connect with someone so fully, so completely, it's rare, even among my kind. But you need to know the truth before you decide." Xamard's brow furrowed. "What truth?" Her hands gripped her knees tightly, knuckles white. "The bond doesn't just heal me. It changes you too. Slowly. Not your face, not your body, but inside. Your mind, your soul. You might see things you're not ready for. Feel emotions that aren't yours. It could break you." Xamard. He felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. "And if I refuse?" Alicia's lips curved into the faintest of sad smiles. "Then I'll die. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe in an hour. But I will fade, and there will be nothing left of me." A heavy silence filled the room. Outside, the storm began to swell, raindrops smacking against the window like tiny fists. Xamard rubbed his temples. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. A beautiful alien woman asking him to merge souls? It sounded like something out of a bad sci-fi novel. But when he looked at her, really looked, he saw no deception. Only exhaustion. Only pain. "Why me?" he asked, his voice cracking slightly. "Out of all the people on this planet, why me?" Alicia's gaze softened. "Because you listened. Everyone else ran. You stayed." Xamard felt the weight of her words settle deep in his chest. His mouth went dry. He wanted to speak, but found no words. "Please," Alicia whispered, her voice barely audible over the storm. "If I bond with you, will you let me in?" Her trembling hand reached toward him, stopping just inches away. Between them, the air seemed to hum faintly, charged with invisible energy. Xamard stared at her hand, at her face, at her eyes, pleading, luminous, alien. And in that moment, he realized he stood on the edge of something he couldn't come back from. The storm outside raged louder now, rain lashing against the cracked window like a desperate warning. Inside, the silence between Xamard and Alicia felt even heavier. Her hand still hovered in the air, waiting, trembling. The faint glow of her scars seemed to pulse with the rhythm of her shallow breaths. Xamard's eyes darted from her face to her outstretched hand. His chest tightened. This wasn't supposed to happen. Aliens weren't supposed to look so human. They weren't supposed to sound so fragile, so alive. He stepped back. I don't know if I can do this," he whispered. Alicia's fingers curled slightly as if retracting, but she didn't lower her hand. "You're afraid," she said softly. "I understand." "Afraid? You're asking me to let you inside my mind, inside my soul. That's not fear. That's survival." His voice cracked, his words sharper than he meant. Alicia's luminous eyes glistened with unshed tears. "And what about my survival?" she asked, barely louder than a whisper. Xamard froze. She pulled her hand back slowly and wrapped her arms around her knees, curling into herself like a wounded bird. The glow of her scars dimmed slightly. "I can't force you," she said. "Bonding must be a choice. It's the only way it works." Xamard rubbed the back of his neck, pacing the small room. "Why me? You said others ran. Why didn't you find someone else?" Her head lifted weakly, eyes locking on his. "Because I don't need just anyone. I need someone strong enough to hold me, all of me. My memories, my fears, my pain. Not everyone can bear it. But you," She hesitated. You feel it too, don't you? That weight in your chest. The loneliness. His breath caught. He hated how easily her words cut through him. I don't even know you, he said bitterly. Then know me, Alicia whispered. Ask. I'll answer. For a moment, he stood still. Then, cautiously, he asked the question gnawing at his mind. What happens if we bond and I can't handle it? She closed her eyes. Then we both break. The bluntness of her answer sent a chill down his spine. Suddenly, a violent shiver ran through her body. She pressed her hands to her chest, gasping. The glow of her scars flickered like a dying flame. Alicia! Xamard rushed to her side instinctively. Her breath came in ragged pulls. It's starting. My body's rejecting this world. I don't have long. Damn it. His hands hovered helplessly over her trembling form. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't stand seeing her like this. But he couldn't shake the fear gnawing at his gut. Xamard? Her voice was faint, barely audible over the storm. I don't want to die alone. Please let me in. He clenched his fists. The choice felt impossible. If he said yes, he could lose himself. If he said no, she would fade. Either way, there was no going back. The room seemed to shrink around him. The air grew thick, heavy. Why do you trust me? He asked suddenly. Alicia's cracked lips curved into the faintest smile. Because I can feel your heart from here. It's loud and kind. Xamard's chest ached. He stared at her hand, weakly extended again, trembling as her light flickered in and out. Outside, lightning split the sky, illuminating the room for a brief, blinding second. He exhaled sharply. His hand moved, slowly, hesitantly. His fingertips brushed hers. For the first time, he felt it, a strange warmth, not physical, but deep inside his chest. A pulse of energy. Her energy. Alicia gasped as the faint glow around her scars flared slightly. Her eyes snapped open, wide with both hope and fear. Are you sure? She asked. Xamard's jaw tightened, but his fingers closed around hers. No, he whispered. But I'm doing it anyway. The moment their hands locked, the world shifted. Xamard felt it first. A rush of heat through his veins. Not painful, but overwhelming. Like stepping into sunlight after years of darkness. His breath caught as colors he'd never seen before bloomed across his vision. Shades beyond human understanding rippled like waves. He staggered, clutching Alicia's hand tighter as her faint glow flared brighter. For a brief, perfect moment, her scars ceased flickering. The dying flame within her reignited, steady and strong. I feel you, she whispered, voice trembling with awe. Xamard gasped. Her words echoed in his mind. Not heard, but felt, as though spoken directly into his soul. Then came the flood. Memories not his own tore through him in flashes. Vast alien skies, twin suns setting over oceans of crystal. The laughter of children with luminous skin and bright, ringing voices. Cities that floated among the stars. And then fire, screams, ash raining from a shattered sky. He ripped his hand back, but it was too late. The connection pulsed between them, invisible threads binding their minds. What the hell was that? He gasped, clutching his head. Our memories are merging, Alicia said softly. She looked stronger now, her color returning, her breathing steady. It's part of the bond. You see me as I see you. You mean you're in my head too? Xamard asked, panic rising. I already am. Her eyes softened. I see your childhood, your first fight, your first heartbreak, the night you lost your brother. Xamard stiffened, his jaw clenched. Stay out of that. I can't, Alicia said gently. It's not about prying. It's sharing. You're in me as much as I'm in you. Xamard staggered back, his mind reeling from the intrusion. The memories she'd touched were old wounds he'd buried deep. Now they felt raw again, exposed to a stranger. But even as he recoiled, he couldn't deny the strange warmth still pulsing in his chest. Alicia smiled faintly. "Do you feel it? The weight lifting?" He paused. He did feel lighter, as if sharing the burden had split it in half. But before he could answer, a sharp pain lanced through his skull. He cried out, gripping his temples. "Zamard!" Alicia rushed forward, steadying him. "What's happening?" he gasped. "The bond isn't stable yet. Your mind's resisting me." "No kidding," he snarled, the pain intensifying. Images flashed again, too fast to make sense of, her world, her fears, her joys, smashing into his consciousness like waves against rock. "Breathe with me," Alicia said firmly, gripping his shoulders. "Focus. Match your heartbeat to mine." He tried. Slowly, painfully, his ragged breaths began to steady. The stabbing pain ebbed, replaced by a dull ache. "That's it," she murmured. "You're adjusting." Zamard sagged against the wall, sweat beading his brow. "Adjusting? Feels like my brain's melting." "It'll pass," Alicia assured him. But her eyes flickered with worry. As the minutes ticked by, the tension in the room eased. Zamard became aware of other sensations, faint whispers at the edge of his mind. Not voices, but emotions. Her emotions. Grief. Loneliness. A deep, aching longing that cut deeper than any blade. "You've carried this alone for so long," he said quietly, surprising himself. Alicia blinked at him, startled. Then she smiled. A real smile this time, small but warm. "Not anymore." They sat together in silence, connected in a way words could never capture. For the first time, Alicia didn't seem like an alien. She seemed human, but beneath the calm, a shadow loomed. Zamard could feel it, a faint, creeping darkness at the edge of her mind. "Alicia," he said hesitantly, "there's something wrong. I can feel it in you." Her smile faltered. "You're sensing the sickness, the one that's been killing me." His chest tightened. "Can we stop it?" She looked away. "Maybe, but only if the bond holds. If either of us weakens." "What happens?" "Then we both die." The words hung heavy between them. Outside, the storm began to quiet, but inside the room, the real battle had only just begun. The bond pulsed stronger with every passing moment, a living thread tying Zamard and Alicia together. Their breaths matched, their hearts thumped as one. But with each pulse, Zamard felt the shadow inside Alicia creeping closer. "Something's wrong," he said through gritted teeth. "You're getting weaker again." Alicia shook her head, her glowing eyes dimming slightly. "It's not the sickness anymore. It's you." "Me?" His stomach turned. "You're fighting it, even now." Her voice was calm, but her trembling fingers betrayed her fear. "You're holding back. You're afraid to let me all the way in. And without that, I can't heal." Zamard's mind raced. He had let her in so far, shared his memories, his pain, his joy. But there was still a place deep inside him, locked tight, where even he didn't dare look. The part that had never healed after losing his brother. Alicia's eyes pleaded, "If you keep that wall, the bond will collapse. And I won't survive." He swallowed hard, sweat dripping down his temple. "What happens if I break it?" "Then we truly become one. But it will hurt, both of us." The room seemed to shrink around them. Outside, the storm had fallen silent, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Zamard's mind screamed at him to run, to sever the bond before it devoured him. But then he saw her face, tired, afraid, but still holding on to a fragile hope. And he remembered the night his brother died. How helpless he'd felt watching someone he loved slip away. How he'd sworn never to let anyone that close again. "I can't," he whispered. "I can't lose another person." "You won't," Alicia said, tears streaking her glowing cheeks. Not if you trust me." The shadows coiled tighter around her, and Xamard felt her strength ebbing fast. It was now or never. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Take all of me." The bond ignited like wildfire. Pain seared through him as if every nerve had caught fire. Memories poured out of him, raw, unfiltered, his happiest moments and his deepest traumas, his love, his hate, every broken piece of his soul laid bare. Alicia gasped, her body arching as the energy surged through her. Her glow flared blindingly bright, the scars on her skin mending one by one. The darkness shrieked as if being torn apart from the inside. But Xamard felt himself unraveling too. His mind teetered on the edge of collapse as her alien essence mixed with his humanity. For a heartbeat, he wasn't sure where she ended and he began. "Xamard!" Alicia's voice echoed in his mind. "Stay with me." I can't," he choked, his body shaking violently. "Yes, you can. You're stronger than this. Stronger than me." Her words anchored him. He focused on her, her warmth, her light, and let it fill every crack inside him. Then, suddenly, silence. The pain vanished. The fire cooled. Xamard opened his eyes. The room glowed softly, bathed in a golden light. Alicia sat before him, her skin unmarked, her glow steady and calm. "You did it," she whispered, awe in her voice. "No," Xamard said hoarsely. "We did." They stared at each other for a long moment, the bond between them humming gently, no longer invasive but comforting. "What happens now?" he asked. Alicia smiled, a real bright smile. "Now we live. Together." Fire final beat. The camera pulls back to show the quiet room. Their joined hands, still glowing faintly. Outside, the storm clouds part, revealing a clear sky streaked with stars, alien and human constellations blending together.